Hello internet friends, Nepyet here with some testing footage from Stars Reach. The Kickstarter for this sci-fi sandbox MMO is coming up and they are trying to get more testers in to drum up kind of support for the game, interest in the game, buzz for the game. So I have jumped in again to have a look at the changes that have been made. Many have been made. I'll have a video more specifically about that in towards the actual launch of the Kickstarter, but like I say, it has been delayed in order to get more eyes on the game. So I thought I will put some footage out for you to take a look at. Very chatty style of video, not an analysis, in-depth analysis of what's going on, just me chatting over this footage that was taken actually yesterday. So it is 15th of February today, and this was recorded on the 14th, just yesterday. I had a mission for myself in this particular session. In a testing session, it's kind of good to give yourself something to focus on, a goal. I only had an hour to play, although this session was 4 hours in length, so you could have really dig in, but I only had an hour to play around with. I set myself the goal of, let's try and build something. Let's build a structure, some kind of structure. Just start fabricating structures, and you need a certain tool, which was listed there, and I didn't see what it was. What is it? The we'll have a look in a second as I continue to go in and out of my inventory. But basically, I've not done any building in the game yet, and it's a game that is a sandbox, and it's a little bit like Minecraft, a little bit Robloxy in that you do construct things. So you can see here, I'm using the terraformer tool to extract minerals from the surroundings, and you can see on the left I'm collecting shale, sucking it up into this terraformer tool. The bar going up in there just to the right of my character is the hopper, so it gets all kind of full of crap as you suck up these minerals that are somewhat useful, and then the hopper gets full and you have to empty the hopper. It's just a nod towards realism that is not unexpected from a game by people who are making this game. Some of them worked on Star Wars Galaxies and the Sony game Landmark back in the day, so there's a lot of simulation going on and so on. My idea was not to chat over all of the gameplay here and just let you watch some of it, but I do seem to have just been waffling since the very beginning. So civil engineering is what I'm going for. I hovered over it. So we need 50 XP in this particular skill tree in order to unlock civil engineering. As you can see, it unlocks the Instaformer Fabricator. To unlock the skills right now, you need to go to a camp or this starting area here where there are so unlock. So we've got all those skills of just things that we can build have just been unlocked. Now we've got that particular skill thing, and go to this tool maker and look, we can make a tool maker of our own to put in the camp, but this is what we're looking for, the Instaformer. And this is what you run into with testing, obviously. I can build it. It's a game where you have the skills now you've got the pattern of the item that you want to make, but you haven't got the materials. So you need gemstone, metal, and inert gas. And obviously this is a game that hasn't even been released yet. So where do I get those things? That's the next problem. Go out into the world and hunt. Now, at this point, I could have gone to the Discord and asked people. There are players who know, and obviously the devs know, and they're in there and very reactive if you want to know stuff while you're testing. But I have found that when I'm testing or looking at this game, having Discord open and having particularly the voice chat and the chatter in the background is very distracting. It pulls you out of the game. So I really wanted to just go in here and wander around and see what I could figure out for myself. The reason I'm I've got the harvester here. This is focused on organic materials that you can suck up, get some dandelion seeds. As I say, it's a relaxed video on drinking Coke. I'm doing this because I seem to remember in a previous playthrough I got some gases from organic things in the world, plants. I think I may have got something from an animal once. So I'm just having a look, see if there's any plants around here that might give me some gases. There are gases in plants. If I stop talking for a while, by the way, I'm just letting the game play. I'll chip in when I've got something to say, but that's the shape of this. Our goals, there you go, ammonia, you see. So that's a gas seeping off these mushrooms. I would not like to hazard a guess as to what they smell like. So I've been aggroed here. The enemies now in the game are a lot more aggressive and harder to avoid. They have stripped me of health pretty quick. So you've got to really watch where you're going now. It does add a level of authenticity and interest to exploring that wasn't there at the start of testing. But there are not too many downsides to dying right now. You can see my corpse marker there. Anything that I've picked up in the just recently. So I'm not sure exactly how it works. I think it's the most recent stuff you've picked up, but some stuff was staying in my inventory. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you can do a corpse run. Not really necessary at this early stage because I haven't actually found a lot of the things I want. We want to see if that ammonia is the gas that we want, though. Get these little audio cues. So it's a type of reactive gas, if you saw that, and we need inert gas, so not correct. And like I say, I could get the answers to these questions very quickly on Discord, but I don't want to. I want to focus on the game and see what I can figure out by just wandering around and exploring myself. Lots of open caverns inside. These are not dug by players, these big open caverns. These bits are, I think, where people have just dug out potholes and then emptied their hoppers. You get the telltale signs of people doing that are these mounds like molehills where they've dumped all the scree and so on. So yeah, the interior of these places are not solid. There are these sort of natural pools underwater, underground, and there is actual difference in terms of what you're pointing at. So that green discolored stuff, this will be slightly different. Salt, you see? So having an eye for the differences in the landscape is useful. It's not just a kind of decorative thing. The changes in the landscape, it indicates that the minerals there are slightly different. Or salt. So I think it's like that purplish mineral that you can see. You have to watch for these holes all over the place. It's one of the things that I do think, how is that going to play out as these various planets that they're adding very quickly into the game are strip mined by players. So the idea that you come across a beautiful world that you're really interested in living on could be very quickly, the surface could be reshaped and changed and ruined. Put it, not a very nice way to put it, but we do that as humans. We go in and we mess up beautiful places, and I can imagine something similar happening in Stars Reach with these various planets. You already kind of see it here where there are big holes, pitfalls that you have to watch out for. The night cycle is, I think, deliberately speeded up in the testing. I can't imagine that the days and nights are kind of this quick or will be this quick in the final release. Struck by how that's the edge of the world. You can see there that blue barrier. Worth noting, the worlds are not like, that's a good example, No Man's Sky. It's not a full circular. It's not an orb that you can travel all the way around. Reminds me more of a kind of a large zone in a traditional MMO, really. These deers in a previous test there is a creature taming, creature befriending system in the game. It's not fully featured yet, but they can make friends with you, but I'm not sure how to make it happen. This looks promising, doesn't it? A different form of mineral here. That's actually glass. So I think this is sand, and then players perhaps have come down and used another one of the tools, which I think is Ranger, the Trailblazer tool, and then you can have a freeze beam, which freezes the sand, or you can burn. It freezes things, but then you could also heat up the sand, which would turn it into glass. I think that's what's happened with someone using the Trailblazer tool and the flamethrower on this sand. They've turned it into glass. Not really very useful for us right now. Starting to be careful about where I'm putting my feet, where I'm going, because I'm wary of these creatures, obviously, now. It seems to be the main combat thing that's going on at the moment. They throw fiery balls at you. Most things fire projectiles that you have to dodge. This valley is a really bad place to be exploring. It's a narrow funnel through which these enemies are all clustered together, so I've made my life difficult by coming down here. Worth noting as well, if you do want to take part in the testing before the Kickstarter begins, and I can't imagine they're going to say, once it's started, you can't do this, but basically they want more people talking about it on social media. So take a picture of the Kickstarter, screenshot, screen grab, post it to social media, and then let them know about it, and they'll let you into the testing. They want you in the testing now. So that's an incentive for people who want to test, but also it helps them if you post it to social media. So just a few little hoops to jump through, but if you want to get into the testing, it's not random anymore. You can kind of prod them, and they want people in, so they're not going to say, "Oh no, you're not there. Don't want you." They want everyone. There's a big bally head there. Don't think I mouse over him. He's not a boss character. There are some characters that are... Oh, he might be actually. But if you attack them, they split into smaller heads and smaller and smaller. So there's a kind of already some interesting, neat little gameplay things to do with combat. There's a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but more than you would expect for pre-alpha. That's kind of something that I would say about having tested this game a few times now. The rate of changes in the game are quite much faster than you would expect for a game in development. And yeah, there are a lot of combat skills. You know, there's a tri-shot to upgrade your blaster. There's a shield. There's other stuff. A gravity bomb. Some of that's one of these testing sessions. I should just go simple and stop trying to do things like build structures and mess with terraforming, because a lot of it's based on knowledge, that stuff, isn't it? And because this is a game in early testing, there's not a handy dandy website you can go to which tells you exactly what you need and where to go to get it. You don't have that foundational knowledge. You've got to kind of come up with it for yourself or ask other people. But I like to come up with it for myself through experience, and then when you get stuck. So I do know I've got a little bit of a lead with the gas. I think I'm still hoping that I'll find something. And I have a little bit of knowledge from a previous test that metals are easier to find in space on the asteroids. So we will do that in a little while. As you're exploring, there are all those different skill types. Many more skills have already been added in the various categories. Sorry, I was just coughing. That's why I sound weird. But this is what I was using there was the Pathfinder skill. So as you're going around exploring, you take out the Pathfinder tool. And you can see these little glowing areas here, and there's a little mini game to go around a world and collect them all. You get XP for it. You can unlock some other skills. And it does give exploration a little bit of a purpose. Some of them are in weird places, so a little bit hard to get to. Go all the way around these nasty wally people. Avoid them. I guess it depends. You know, there are your markers on the environment that you can head. When you see those little angry faces, it obviously means we've aggroed you. We're coming. Jeez. So you get caught, you're dead pretty quick now. Personally, for the so what I wanted to, I think here I've kind of modified my goals to be a little bit more open than just finding those minerals, because they're going to hamper me. It's just, I think it's a good example of how when you go into the testing, there is stuff you're not going to know, so be flexible. If you can't get a certain thing done because you don't have the knowledge, switch to something else. So I think I've switched to pathfinding here. And I realise it's just more straightforward because we can unlock that freeze beam, mess around with that. I haven't realised here, even though my Pathfinder tool on the right there is highlighted, I haven't got it out in my hand. So these diamonds are not going to be interactable until I do that. Let's see how long it takes me to figure it out. There you go, not too long. This is just the detritus, the scree from, I imagine, all of the teleportation areas in a world are going to be just covered in. It's just going to be horrible. It's going to be like a gravel pit everywhere. And the developers are already coming across examples of people griefing and people messing up their well laid plans. You know, obviously they don't have a no build or a no dig area set up around where you teleport in. So someone was trying to mess that up, you know, dig out the ground from underneath. So it always seems to come to a shock to developers that gamers will find a way to mess things up. you need to be strict even in an open game like this, or people will cock it up for you. They've got nothing better to do. But that's one way of looking at it. Another is to say, well, it's, you know, if you can mess around and screw with the world, humans are going to do that, aren't they? So this is the terraforming tool, the Trailblazer tool with the flamethrower. And you can see all these like items. So that's burning a little bit, and then it catches fire. That will obviously get rid of those trees if you let it keep it burning. It's not a game where anything is static. Everything is changeable. Deforestation, all of these objects, the ground itself that you're walking on, the soil is malleable. You can change it, heat it up, cool it down. The trees, you can burn them down. You can plant trees, grow new forests. That's the idea. It's that kind of game. A very fluid, interactable game. The strange thing is that it's an MMO, and that sort of thing is not standard in MMOs. MMOs are generally locked for those reasons, because players will mess things up. So it's going to be a really interesting experiment, and we'll see how. I can imagine the devs eventually realizing, we've got to have some worlds where we don't allow anything to be changed. So there's some kind of stability, some kind of place that players can always go and access the things they need. Otherwise, yeah. So things are on fire, but then you can put them out with the freeze beam. You can freeze that tree. And I think the temperature is reacting there, so it won't stay frozen. It thaws out, but it stopped it burning. I think there is actually a more dedicated fire extinguisher. These mushrooms always throw me. I wasn't sure if you could say something that shape and size is phallic, but I think I'm focusing here. Go more explory. Let's just mess around with the environment a little bit in a way that's quick to do in an hour. And I haven't messed around with the freeze beam and the flamethrower very much at all. And I think now I'm heading for the grapple. We're going to see if we can unlock the grapple. This play session. I should say I'm calling it a play session, not a testing session, which is an insight into my mindset, really. I'm not the best tester. I've not been submitting a lot of bug reports, and as you can see, not really getting into the systems as much as some people are. I see it as my focus with these play sessions, testing sessions, to get footage to show it to you guys. That's the kind of thing that I think me playing the game early that I can offer that is the most useful, is just to show things to people. And the sad fact is that although it's very interesting to build and to dig, it's not perhaps the most interesting thing to watch. And certainly crafting, you spend a lot of time in menus, and it is not the number one thing that a lot of people want to do. Hazarding a guess here, but you can see by the types of games that are the most popular: combat, exploration, socialization, those kind of things. So a lot of these unique systems that the game offers perhaps not the most visually interesting, so I need to always keep that in mind. But I did want to try this kind of stuff out. So, whoop, I'm freezing the water here. And as you can see, I slid off the side there. So when you're on ice, it's a little bit over sensitive at the minute. You would have more control than this in reality, but that stuff will get refined. But as you can see, as it freezes, then it goes, the ambient temperature in the environment dictates. This is me guessing, but it seems to be the way it works. It doesn't stay ice. It very quickly melts away. So if I wanted this ice to stay, I would somehow have to change the temperature of this environment that I'm in permanently in order for the ice to remain. But yeah, in theory, you could freeze this entire lake, I guess, if it would stay in place. Skidding around. It's very interesting when this stuff sinks in, the amount of stuff that you can do. Everything surrounds a tool, and usually you have to build those tools. That's the little nod to realism and the flow of the game that you've got to get used to. Just because you unlock a skill doesn't mean you can immediately do everything that skill allows. You tend to need the tool, you need the materials. Probably once the game goes live and there's an economy, you could just buy the tools you need from shops, vendors, player vendors who've already done that stuff. So this is like the prospecting stage where no one has any of those tools and you have to build them for yourself. But there will be conveniences put in place by players who've already played the game for new starters. So I hit upon the idea here. Let's see if we can evaporate this lake. We can freeze it, then we can turn it into steam and just have it evaporate away, right? Let's see if it actually works. And the way I was thinking I'd be able to tell is if the water line, as I do this, gradually goes down, we'd be able to tell that the amount of water in the middle is going away. It won't go as far up to the side. And it seemed to be working to me here a little bit. I felt like, oh, well, when I started, there was more water, and now it's kind of rippling over the rocks at the side of the lake here. I felt like, has this gone down from where I was before? It's almost like there's little tidal pools there that are evaporating away, and the water level has gone down. I think it would take a long time doing this to get it all to evaporate. Set my feet on fire. Yeah, but it seems to me like it's not really dropping. The water level's not dropping. So I don't think that's really possible. Maybe it's possible, but it needs to be like on a more industrial scale. Just checking for the grapple there, how much XP I need to get the grapple. I think you can get a gravity mesh or something that will allow you to fly. I don't really want to fly, you know? I want to explore, and a grapple seems more explory to take into account the environment and some fun traversal skills rather than just being able to zoom around like Superman. I did notice in a previous playthrough you get some little buffs from enemies as you fight them. So there is one that makes you jump really high and stuff. They just drop them like loot. Jackalopes are not aggressive. Everyone loves creature taming skills. I think that'll be a popular feature once people can do that. Something's targeting me on the side of the mountain here. Move, you idiot. It used to be that there was no way. They've consolidated some of the skills now, so there was no way to get the grapple, like the start of the Pathfinder stuff, I think. Well, Pathfinder was different to the camping, so you had to have people running into your camps and kind of passively giving you XP to get it started, which is not ideal. So they've changed that now. The best way to get the skills, like I say, I'm sorry that this stuff isn't drilled into my brain yet, but I think it's Pathfinder. The best way to do it is just to collect these nodes to get the XP. Really nice open bit here underneath this mountain. It's very cool. Runs right up to the zone boundary. Owlbears. Up to D&D, I guess. Aldeers they are. All hanging about down here. This is where we live. Get out. So I'm looking at gemstones. I think, again, asteroids are your best bet for minerals and stuff like that. They're probably gemstones onto certain asteroids. But salt, that salt that we found, counts as a gemstone for crafting these various recipes. So keeping an eye out for salt. And I think in this footage I forgot where I got the salt. We know, because it was only... No. Well... We're in real time here, so... But as you're playing it, stuff doesn't bed in as clearly. So we know it was right at the beginning in that underground cavern. But I've probably forgotten now in the actual gameplay. The one halfway up a mountain there. I don't know. I've never got all 64. There seem to be 64 of these nodes on each planet. And I don't know if you get an extra bonus if you find them all. A little bit of dollop of XP. It's not the kind of game that gives you items as a reward, generally. The rewards tend to be experience. Run in, grab it, and try to stay ahead of these nasty things. I think for a game in alpha, pre-alpha. I keep saying alpha, but it's not even alpha yet, technically. But, you know, what's the dividing line? It's fairly arbitrary, and it varies from person to person, company to company, what they consider alpha, pre-alpha, and beta. Beta can be like, now is like 2 months before the game launches, and some companies start calling their testing beta. It's like, well, there's nothing you're really going to change. Beta is just marketing window for the game. But they're technically still calling this pre-alpha. If I call it alpha, you know what I mean. Someone burning trees in the dark. That's my corpse, that little marker on the thing, if I want to go and get it. I may be killing myself here to get back to the starting zone. I haven't messed around with camps. You can set up a camp in order to get around this. having to go back to the starting area. But all the tools are in the starting area at the minute, so it's just a quick way to do it. And we need to go back here to unlock the skill. So we got the grapple, and then we have to build the grapple. So that's the grav mesh, which I think is flight. I've done a lot more talking than I thought I would in this. I'm sorry about that if you just wanted to watch the game. I will put some up at some point that is just the game, so you don't have me waffling. So we need metal and gemstone. As I say, the salt will work, but we need to get some metal. I found metal through fighting those balls, weirdly. You get a ton of it if you beat one of the big ones. If you beat the balls. Sorry. PG. Let's keep this PG. So before going to the asteroids, which I think I do eventually, just having a bit of a wander around, see if there's anything. I kind of it seems to me it almost looked like it was raining there. It's misty. Seems misty. The surface materials are not very useful for these tools and items that you need early on. I think I'm thinking here if I kill some of the balls, I might get some metal. It depends how tough the fight is. I don't have any combat skills. I think I've just given up here. We're going into space, I believe. Space is cool. A fun feature of the game. Stop dawdling, dude. Just get out there and get some metals now. Games that do have space and ground are few and far between. Well, there's more of them now, I guess, than there used to be. We've got No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous. There's more planet stuff now. This is quite unique. It feels like pretty bare at the moment. There are these various platforms. Each of these platforms will port you to one of the planets, and then you have these asteroids hovering around, which can be mined. You have to watch out for enemies here as well. There's no delineation, it seems, between the types of enemies at the minute. All of the worlds contain the same types of enemies. That kind of refinement where different worlds have different enemies is not quite in the game yet. So immediately collecting iron from these asteroids. Manganese is a metal as well. But I can't remember because I didn't make a note of exactly how much iron we need. It doesn't show you. There's probably a way to bring up your recipes on the fly and check, but the only way I know how to do it is to check at the tool maker back at the thing. So I think I'm thinking I need 10 iron, but that's the gemstone. So we've got to go back and check exactly what we need here. But it looks nice, doesn't it? The actual surroundings. Ships are planned for the game as well. And basically the way it works at the minute, I haven't found a way to rotate myself in space. The only way to kind of right yourself here, if I wanted to turn so that the beam was going straight down, I haven't found a way to do that. So when you land on the platform, it kind of tracks around and goes into a different mode where you're kind of rooted to the ground again. Different planet. It's very hard to check in space. I mean, makes sense for space, doesn't it? So the grapple, you need 25 metal, you idiot. Manganese, chromium counts as metal, but iron is closest. So we need 25 iron and 10 gemstone, if we can find any gemstones. Yeah, it's very easy to get. There's some nice music actually when people are dancing and lighting effects, and which heals you. I don't think it happens this time, but you do get wounded when you get injured, and then someone has to heal you through dancing and socialization skills. Anyone who's played any of Raf Costa's games in the past won't be surprised by a fair few of the things that are in the game. So socialization has always been something he's trying to foreground in his kind of sandboxy style gameplay. The idea is that you're kind of reliant on other players. You can't do everything yourself. So you're injured. You can't entertain yourself back to health. Somebody else has to do that. Can't deposit the hopper. This is one thing. You need space to kind of dump all the nasty refuse that is in the hopper. You need to find an open space. It tends to be on the top of the asteroids. And I'm just spamming hopper deposit Q. It just dumps everything out there. I'm trying to find some iron, which is not appearing this time. There you go. There's some iron. Imagine when there are tons of players doing this en masse in a guild, it's going to happen very quick. And if the stores of minerals that will be available just to be bought will be incredible. Players are so industrious when it comes to these kinds of mechanics and making it, organizing and turning it into a whole operation. If you're not interested in doing the kind of the mining side of things, there will be so many options provided by the players as the galaxy takes shape. One of the most fun times in this type of game is when none of that is in place. So when the game launches, that will be kind of a unique time. But I believe because new planets are coming along all the time, there will be a kind of rolling sense of exploration as new planets are opened up and discovered. So that kind of free-form nature of the galaxy will hopefully allow the exploration part to continue to take place. So we need to find that salt. And now it's a case of watching your former self trying to remember where he found that salt. I do have a sense that it was underground. But I think, first of all, I thought it was at the bottom of that valley, that nasty valley. So I'm trying to find that valley with all the fireball spitting spheres. There it is, down there. There is fall damage. You've probably noticed that already, so you can't just jump straight off the side. You've got to be a little bit careful. Yeah, I was saying earlier on, I think I didn't finish the thought about I wish the days were a little bit longer than the nights at the moment, when you want to take in the surroundings and really get a sense of a place. Just nicer for it to be daytime. I mean, it looks like it could be salt, and there's water. Makes sense that there'd be salt around there. I think I was thinking that the glass that I saw was salt, but I've forgotten that it's sand. I guess this is fresh water. Yeah, and most stuff on the surface doesn't seem to be particularly useful right now. I don't know what you would use mud and shale for. Probably building materials when you get to the house building. Make mud huts. Sandstone could be turned into glass, I guess. Gravel. Make paths and things with gravel. It's anything like Minecraft. You're not going to find any salt around here, dude. You've got to have the revelation that it's underground. I'm sorry if I'm talking too much. You just want to play the game. As I say, I'll put up some footage where it's just the game and you can have a look at that at some point. All of the strictures that were in place to do with the NDA have been lifted at this point. They seemed quite reticent early on. I understand because it was at a very early stage, but it's progressed so quickly now that I don't think there's any downside to showing gameplay in full, even without commentary, because it holds up. Like I say, I was only in for an hour this time, but there were no crashes to desktop. When I first played, you couldn't even zone into space without the game crashing 50% of the time. Since jumping in more recently, it's not crashed once for me. And that, I'm talking months. I think I played last in November, and it's February of the following year now. So only 4 months ago. It's a lot more stable. So if that pace of development continues, crikey. There you are. You finally figured it out. It was underground, wasn't it, you bull? Big open caverns here. There's something on the wall there that might be minerals, but I didn't see it. Where is the underground cavern? It's always the way. I think there are skills in the Pathfinder. I know there are skills in the Pathfinder tree for having the ability to put down waypoints, which would be very handy in this kind of situation. So when you find that salt, if I had the skills, I could have put down a waypoint so that I would know where I found it. I could come straight back to it. I'd forgotten that it was the purple discoloration in the landscape that is the salt. That's what you're looking for, dude. There it is. You can see it there. That's it. Oh, there you go. A little bit of salt, but not as much as we were getting before. It's a weird thing. It's always the way when you want it, you found it, then it doesn't happen as smoothly and fast. You want it, you got to work for it, buddy. Just want a grapple. It's the kind of game where those little goals that you come up with for yourself, what drive the gameplay, and that's the kind of game that I like. Well, if I'm in the mood, I will want something more directed. But when I come to this kind of game, there you go. We've got the 10 salt now. Empty the hopper and head back and build the grapple. Yeah, this kind of game, it's the openness and the creation of your own goals, your own story. You're building a story with this kind of game where it's very open. And very simple, you know. The story for this is the quest to build a grapple, but there's no quest in the game that tells you to build a grapple. You just know that it's something that you might like to do that's going to enhance the gameplay for you. And that becomes your focus for a while, and then after that you'll find something else and something else. It's the kind of thing, that open freeform gameplay, that I like from these types of sandbox games. I love the climbing. Someone walking sideways across the mountain. Don't know why that little sound effect plays when you're doing the hopping up the side there. All of these mountains that you can see are complete scalable. There's no way you can't go in this whole region that constitutes the planet. Is that the toolmaker? It is, straight to the toolmaker. A little bit of a bug here where with it being out of range. Sometimes you have to be standing in a specific place for it to work. Little bugs like that, always in testing. Grapple. Put your iron in and your gemstone. The crafting will be more complicated than this. There will be different... The stuff that you use will affect the quality of items and so on. Resources will have statistics. I've never used it before, so I'm guessing here how you do it. It has a little clothing icon next to it, which suggests to me goes in your clothing slot. There is no customization or clothing that you can make at the moment, but you do have these slots. There you go, and it's attached to me. And then let's watch this genius figure out how to actually activate it. How will he... So double click on it. Does that work? No. Look at your recipes. No, that's not going to be it. Come on, idiot. It's going to be pathfinding, isn't it? Trailblazer pathfinding, not crafting stations. There you go. No, not that one. Is it movement? There you go. Grapple. R. Find something to grapple onto. Look at this, this structure that someone's built already. There it is, the first use of the grapple. Very sci-fi. I wasn't expecting that. It kind of shoots from your belt. A glowing ribbon. They all created these really cool textures. Metallic sheen to everything. I wonder if that's glass. If it is, it's non-reflective glass. I like that. I've always liked that kind of... What do they call it? It refracts the light, or captures the light and swirls it about in the substance that it is. There'll be a word for it. It almost looks like multicolored, metallic multicolored surface. Look at that glowing lava in the distance. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Now we have to find something high to grapple onto. Now this is cool. Look at that! Cling to the side of the tree. I was so surprised when that happened. And I didn't even realise that you could climb trees. So you see, in a little goal there, learnt something. Ball dudes! I don't think they've aggroed me yet. But now it occurs to me that we've got a little escape. A way to escape, haven't we? Quickly. Because this moves you across the landscape very quick. I'm not going to be able to go around that sheer surface, but this would get us out of trouble pretty quick. It's not going to work here, but... I mean, it looks nice at night and everything. I'm not complaining. I like the effect. I think Exploration, traversal at the moment is probably the thing I enjoy doing the most in this game. Just because of the range of movement you have over the landscape. When you think about those old MMOs and moving across zones, I'm trying to do a kind of an action thing where I jump and fire the grapple. You know, it's a chore. It's a chore to move across zones. It's not fun. What I find with this game is it's actually fun to be out and about exploring the environment. It's a little janky at the minute. You kind of just like get clamped to the side of things. Somebody else doing whatever they've decided to do on the side of a cliff. Just build a load of stations there. They're probably being a lot more productive than I am, so I'm not. Look, you can, and it goes quite a long way. So I think that's really handy. I wonder why, if you can also create something that allows you to fly, why the grapple wouldn't be like less XP. So surely the flight thing, the grav mesh, should be after the grapple, after you've got that. So all the way across that valley there, you can do it. I don't know what the extent of it is. I should have tested that, how far you can actually fire it. At the top of this mountain, things get cold. So I think there's there are temperatures zones on planets. So, and I'm hazarding a guess that this happens organically, so to speak, in terms of how the planet is structured. So if you build something high enough, it will just have ice on it. Didn't work. Trying to do a Spider-Man. Deliberately, not deliberately, but you know, you don't get much sense of the MMO style of things I'm doing at the minute. I'm not interacting with other players very much, just because I want to maximize the actual time with the systems of the game that I have. I did some more of that early on. So survey map is good. You can find those various waypoints easier at some point. Enable homestead is something that I'm interested in because your camp only lasts for 10 minutes when you're out and about. So it occurred to me I would like to turn a camp into a homestead. And we need 50 Pathfinder XP for that. So we'll use the grapple and just go around and hoover up some more nodes. Well, obviously now I've collected a fair few of them around the starting area, so I have to go further out to find where I haven't been. This might be more doable now that I've got the grapple. So that valley of death is have a way out, basically. Get your Pathfinder tool out. Dope. I've only got 25 of 64, so there's an awful lot more. Camp kit. Put the camp down. And then can we unlock that skill? I don't think I have enough time yet. Upgrade to homestead. You can see it on the right there. It's grayed out at the moment. So that's the kind of thing that trips you up. So you need camp size 3 before you can do the homestead thing. Fiendish, these games. They keep us busy, don't they? So didn't quite reach it there. Nearly dead. Handy dandy little alcove. Whoop. It just looks like you're kind of ballet dancing. There's a fair few around here. You'll get it, buddy. There's a big ball. I imagine there's going to be, well, I shouldn't say if I don't know, but breeding of animals, farming of animals? Why would you want a jackalope as a pet? Just, why does anyone want a pet? Just, it makes them happy, but ranching, maybe? Go on, be bold. Get down there and get that thing. See if we can do an action escape. That's satisfying, isn't it? Having a new skill that makes you just a little bit less vulnerable can get you out of trouble. That's cool. I like that. I like that. Straight out of the valley. Try and catch me. You can't do it. You have to remember where you've put your camp now. So it seems like the death marker remains for a good amount of time. You've got time to do those corpse runs if you really want to get your stuff back. But I haven't seen... you don't lose everything in your inventory. I really don't know how that works. And obviously that grapple is going to be very handy for just collecting these things in weird... Maybe I would hazard a guess that it's not possible without some traversal skills to get them all. There you go. That's the message, just letting us know that the test session is coming to an end. I want to see if I can unlock the homestead thing before that happens. Try and get back to this camp in time. They seem to be extending the amount of time that you have to test from 2 hours. There's a big difference between 2 hours and 4 hours. I think it's needed at this stage. If you this complicated a game with this many unusual systems, just kill myself. You've got to give people more time, and since the game is more stable, there you go. We got the homestead and we got the camp level 3. Upgrade to homestead. Only a full-size camp can be upgraded to homestead. So before I can do that, I have to upgrade that camp and put all the... I've got the skill to upgrade, I just haven't upgraded. But there's no way we're going to do it in this short time remaining. So I hope you enjoyed this gameplay and that it gave you an insight into the game. As I say, at time of recording, you can ask for some access for yourself if you wish, but I'll see you next time.